So here's the next one of the lot to get fixed, or to try and fix here. It's another John Deere. It's like a little baby brother to the JS360C that I have, except this one's a JS60. And I think it's a couple of years newer. Not completely sure. Actually, it's 1 year older. It's a 99. So about the same age. But it looks to have sat outside for a good little while. I've already lubed them up, but these were really rusty and tight. Ended up having to take pliers and vice grip, put a vice grip here and took pliers here to tighten it up. But now we're tight. And the safety cable, it was really rusted, but it wasn't stretched, and it just needed some lubing, and now it's working just fine, doing what it needs to do. The mower itself looks like it's in good shape. The oil is very, very clean on it also. This has been a common theme with these that I've been finding so far in this lot that I bought. This is the third one I've gotten out and looked at, and it's got clean oil in it. So looking at the gas tank here, smelling in it, it does smell like it has old gas. I am going to put gas in this thing to see if it'll start for me. Got a manual throttle here that's also rusted. I'm going to have to throw some WD-40 on that as well. I'll get this off. We'll check the air filter on it. Let me grab me a screwdriver. And I've got the side discharge sheet with this one as well, so a 2-in-1. This mower is not self-propelled, by the way. I'll have to find a better screwdriver here, but it's built and stamped exactly the same as that JS360C, except for the caster wheels on the front. So it's going to be a nice. Should be a nice mower to get going here. Briggs & Stratton, obviously. This one's not an overhead valve engine. It's probably around a 6 horsepower. Had to get the big screwdriver to get that off, but we'll get this off. We'll see the condition of the air filter. Primer bowl looks good. Like I said, it just looks like it's been sitting outside for a while. Air filter, barely even have any grass in it, so it looks really good. Looks like the carburetor's probably going to be gummed up, so that's going to be something that I'm probably going to have to look at on. I'll take the carb bowl only off first to see what might be in it, and then if it's looking real bad, I'll just take the whole carburetor off of it. I've got some air filter gaskets on the way because I had a Murray. I don't know which video will get posted first, depending on what I can get running first, but I had a red self-propelled Murray mower that just needs the air filter gasket because it runs good. It's just not priming, and the primer bulb isn't the problem. You can hear it sucking air through where it's supposed to not be sucking air. That's not getting the fuel up the carburetor there, even though all the ports are clean. But yeah, let me take the carb bowl off again. I'm not going to take anything else off yet, but I'm just going to hop in here and take the 1/2-inch bolt off that holds the carburetor bowl on, and I'll dip that thing down and see what we have. So, not the worst that I've seen, but as you can see, it's not the best. That's pretty gummed up there. I figured since how old the gas is, I bet this thing hasn't run in a while. So, main jet's clogged up there too. So we'll proceed with taking off the air filter cover here, 2 bolts. There's supposed to be a third one there, but it's missing. And taking off the carburetor. So we'll work on that next. Okay, so I'm about to blow some air through it just to make sure all the ports are clean, but carburetor itself is pretty clean now. Got all the old gas out of it. Carb cleaner wiped it out. Cleaned off the jet. Cleaned off the bowl, or the float. So I'm gonna get my air compressor out. Make sure all the ports are clean. And again, you just have to, if you go that route, you just have to be careful with not blowing out the seat there for the needle, or blowing out any other important stuff in there. It's not too hard. Not too hard to blow it out without having problems. So it's a good way for me. And then I'll put it all back on the mower here. I'm going to lube up this throttle portion here so it'll actually move. And then check the spark plug and see if this thing will run. The tank is dry, which is good. So just throw some gas in it and see what happens. So I'll throw in here kind of a quick how-to of putting these things back together. I've got everything here, as you can see. So I'm just going to set this down here. We're going to put everything back on. So first off, you have to find, you have your pin. Every pin, you have your needle, you have your float. So pin, needle, and float. And adjust this a little bit more here. But so you put your pin, and make sure you don't get it caught in anything and lose it. You can put your needle in your float here. Put your needle in your float. Put it onto the carburetor. But you have to put it in so that it slides into that little slot there. Put it in there. Put your pin in. Pin should slide right in. If it doesn't, you can use a small pair of pliers. Carb bowl, got to make sure that your gasket goes around it, goes around where the carb bowl seats with the carburetor. Like so, and then we put our 1/2 inch jet back in, and we'll screw it back on, and I'll tighten it back up. So that is it's kind of just the basics of putting these cars back together and taking them apart. And now I'll put it back onto, after I tighten this up, put it back onto the engine. You just slide your throttle cable in here, which I'll have to unstick on this one because it is stuck. And then you have an O-ring that goes right around here that usually stays on the intake tube. Put your 3/8 inch bolts in, and then you can put your air filter cover and stuff back on. So let me free this up and we'll get this thing back on the mower. So the old fuel line here was pretty bad off, as you can see, and it was leaking. So I put a new fuel line on it here, and now it will accept gas, and I think it's about time to give this thing a try and start this thing up, see if it'll run for us. So everything's priming. Everything seemed like it's okay. So let me see if I can get this thing to run. had been running a long time. And it just shut off by itself, so we will see what the deal is with that. But at least I know that it runs, and have to work on it just a little bit more to get it just right. So we'll keep on working. So I've got a lot of projects now. This is number 3 that I'm putting a carburetor on. This John Deere. So I can't really, having a hard time keeping up with what I have and haven't shown folks, especially since I just got back from taking a little bit of time off. But this is what happened to the carburetor on it. Of course I did that. I was trying to at least free this butterfly up. I took the butterfly off that was in the carburetor, and that just leaves this little arm here. But this one had been sitting so long that it had rusted onto the carburetor, and your little mechanism here, I couldn't even turn it or push it back and forth because it was so rusted, and it actually broke off. Or yeah, it broke off. And then I tried to take this off to try and recover the carburetor, but it just wasn't working. So since, you know, I can probably get close to $100 for this push mower, since it is a John Deere and it's in pretty good shape, although it has set outside a little bit, then I just decided to buy a carburetor for it, just so I didn't have to worry with trying to fix this one, since I can get them for $10. So just like I did the Murray and the Craftsman that I've shown earlier, I did the same thing with this one, and got it right here. And so same deal, 2 3/8" bolts hold the carburetor on. You put the linkage on as well. I'm gonna have to WD-40 the linkage a little bit because the spring is a little bit rusted on it. I mean, I know this mower runs, so it's just a matter of putting the carburetor on it, cleaning it up. Got the air filter. I'll find an air filter cover for it, and I should have one under the house. So yeah, I'm gonna put the carburetor on, find an air filter for it, put it on, clean it up, change the oil in it, and this one should be in business. So and sharpen the blade on it. So have a few things to do left here. So I'll get to doing all that, since I've shown all of those in videos of past. Then I'm just gonna kind of save me a little bit of time and just put it all together and kind of show you all the finished product. This does have the throttle on it, which is kind of nice. I think it is a little bit rusted, and it might be a fixed throttle actually. So although it does have this on the side, if it does run at a good speed, then I'll just keep it as is. But yeah, so let me do all that work, and I'll kind of show you all the finished product, and we should have a good John Deere, a good John Deere push mower here. So, and with the new carburetor and, you know, all the servicing, it'll be a good one for somebody. I think folks do like these John Deere. So let me do all that work. I will show you all, and I'll show you all the finished product. So while getting this thing ready, I thought it was going to be plug and play, but it's not always plug and play. When I put the carburetor on, I had to find another one of these inner housings for the air filter, because the one I had, I think, was kind of warped. It wasn't priming, but it was leaking gas out of the bottom here, and I was thinking, why in the world is it doing that? I thought, you know, sometimes the float get stuck in them and it won't seat on the needle, and it'll just keep flooding the carburetor. That wasn't the case. What they had done is they hadn't tightened up the jet all the way, so it was leaking out of the jet. So I tightened up the jet and everything was good. I actually had to put a different spark plug in it because I think the spark plug that was in it decided it wanted to quit. And then over here, the grounding portion, to where the safety cuts off, the grounding pin here, or where it grounds, wasn't connecting to the lever here, and so you just pull the lever back wanting it to stop, and it'll just stay running and have the blade brake on. So I've got all those remedied, and it is priming now. I just checked it, so I'll set this down and do like a little quick start for y'all. Do a quick start here, just to show y'all how it's doing. So it is starting and restarting like it's supposed to now. Now all that's left is, do the service, clean it up, and hopefully send it on its way. I think this will be a really good mower for somebody. So again, oil change, blade sharpening. Already got a good air filter in it. So that's all that's left to do, this and clean it up. And I'll give y'all a final look and start whenever when I get those done tomorrow here. So it's all cleaned up now, cleaned up really nicely. I should be able to get about $100 for this. These are very nice mowers. This one's got the 2-in-1 and it's complete, and it does run good. I just washed it, so I'll give y'all a final start with this thing here. See how well it's stirring up the grass up under here too. Pretty quiet mower. I'm just going to let it run for a little while and burn some gas, and who knows how long it has been since this thing has actually run for a good little while. So yeah, this is number 3 of the ones I had to put carburetors on. Seems to be doing pretty good with it, so let it run here and send it on down the line and keep on rolling with these things. I've had decent luck with the 2 John Deeres I've got. The one with the caster wheels is gone now, so just leave this one here. But I don't know why somebody left this thing outside for I don't know how long, but was able to free up the safety cable and was able to save it. And thankfully these decks are tough and they don't really have much, the thing doesn't have much rust on the undercarriage, or there's that little spot right there, but that's it. So I'll keep the mowers coming, and As always, thank y'all for watching.